Hey y'all, it's me again. Sorry it's been a while because I've been busy, but I'm going to continue reading from my book, The 1900s. Let's go! At war in the Philippines and at home. Military operations in the Philippines swelled in size and savagery. Against the stubborn guerrilla warfare of the Filipinos, the U.S. Army reported regiments, brigades, divisions until as many as 75,000, more than 4 times as many as saw action in Cuba, were engaged in the islands at one time. Filipinos burned, ambushed, raided, mutilated. On occasion they buried prisoners alive. Americans retaliated with atrocities of their own, burning down a whole village and killing every inhabitant. Of an American soldier was found with his throat cut, applying the water cure and other tortures to obtain information. They were 3,000 miles from home, exasperated by heat, malaria, tropical rains, mud, and mosquitoes. They sang, "Dan, Dan, Dan, the Filipino, civilize him with a Craig." And officers on occasion issued orders to take no prisoners. They won all the skirmishes against an enemy who constantly renewed himself. A raiding party which missed Aguinaldo but captured his young son made headlines. Aguinaldo, I think that's how you say it, I don't know, fought for a time in the hope that anti-imperialist sentiment in America would force withdrawal of the forces already sickening of their task. The longer the war continued, the louder and angrier grew the anti-imperialist protests. Their program, adopted at Chicago in October 1899, demanded an immediate cessation of the war against liberty. They collected and reported all the worst cases of American conduct in the Philippines and all the most egregious spaces of imperialist greed, and set them against the most unctuous expressions of the white man's mission. They distributed pamphlets paid for by Andrew Carnegie, and when the League's executive head, Edward Axton, applied to the War Department for permission to send the pamphlets to the Philippines and was refused, he sent them anyway. Anxious to end the war and placate the new cause swollen peoples and government credibility, the administration sent various committees to investigate the atrocities, to find out what the Filipinos really wanted. Short self-government, which they said they wanted, and to report on what form of civil government to give them. In April 1900, the shy, kindly 300-pound Judge William Howard Taft was sent out to set up a civil government, armed with a charter drawn up by the new Secretary of War, Helio Root, I think that's how you say his first name, I don't know, which granted the Filipinos a liberal degree of internal autonomy. Since neither they nor the Americans were ready to give up fighting, the attempt was premature, but Taft stayed on, determined to govern in the interest of the little brown brother as soon as he was given a chance. When friends at home, concerned for his welfare, saying anxious queries about his health, he cabled Helio Root that he had been out horseback riding and was feeling fine. "How's the horse feeling?" Root cabled back. Despite difficulties, there was no racing or hesitancy among the dominant Republicans about the new career upon which America was launched. The bill for constructing Nicaragua Canal was in the Senate, and so was Albert Brigade, more closely allied with the Almighty than ever. "We will not renounce our part in the mission of our raised trustees under God of the civilization of the world," he said on January 8, 1900. He informed senators that God had been preparing in the English-speaking and Teutonic peoples for this nation for 1,000 years. Imperialism is a campaign issue. As the war passed its first anniversary with the American forces deeply extended, there was one event ahead that might yet bring it to an end: the coming presidential election. In this, the anti-imperialists and Aguinaldo plays their host. Its earliest oddity was a boom for Admiral Dewey, partly inspired by the desperation of some Democrats who find any candidate other than Bryan. Having concluded after some study of the subject that the office of president is not such a very difficult one to fill, the admiral announced. He was available, but as his wording did not inspire confidence and he seemed vague as to party, his candidacy collapsed. Bryan loomed. The anti-imperialists were caught in an agonizing dilemma. McKinley represented the party of imperialism. Bryan Carl Struve's words was the evil genius of the anti-imperialist cause, loathed for his betrayal in the matter of the treaty and fear for his racial radicalism. Church met with Carnegie, Gamaliel, Bradford, and Senator Pettigrew at the Plaza Hotel in New York in January 1900 in an effort to organize a third party so that the American people would not be forced by the two rotten old party carcasses to choose between two evils. Campaign on imperialism as he had planned, Bryan ranged the country as strenuously as before. He was tarnished, but his magnetism, his passion, and his sincerity of the moment still reached through to the people and even across the Pacific. And Bryan, but for whom the Treaty of Paris sorry, I got some, I think barbecue sauce or something on my foot that I need to take care of later. Still reached through to the people and even across the Pacific. And Bryan, for whom the Treaty of Paris would have been defeated, the Filipinos placed their faith. The great Democratic Party of the United States will win the next fall election, Aguinaldo promised in a proclamation. Imperialism will fail in its mad attempt to subjugate us by force of arms. His soldiers shouted the worker, Aguinaldo Bryan! In the Chicago platform, anticipating the election, the anti-imperialists had said, we propose to contribute to the defeat of any person or party that stands for the subjugation of any people. There was nothing to do, as a friend wrote to ex-President Clinton, but to hold your nose and vote for Bryan. The modified rapture of such people for Democratic candidate won under the name thereafter the Hold Your Nose and Vote group. So distasteful to the nation were both candidates that it refused to support either, preferring, as a dissatisfied reader complained to, sit on fence and scold at both. The Republicans had no such difficulties. Although they preferred to be called expansionists rather than imperialists, they were proud of the condition, whatever its name, and believed in its goals. Forthright, as usual, lodged in Manila with its magnificent bay is a prize and pearl leaves. It will keep us open to markets of China. So we hesitate and make in coward fashion what Dante calls the great refusal. Secretary He having pronounced the policy of the open door, Chinese markets are very much on men's minds. During the summer of the campaign, the siege of litigations at Peking by the Boxers and the American share in the relief expedition pointed up the far-flung role the country was now playing. Its most convinced and vocal champion was McKinley's new vice presidential nominee, Theodore Roosevelt, who took the president's place as chief campaigner. Unsure of victory for the full dinner pail was more a slogan than a fact. He campaigned so vigorously and indefatigably that to the public and cartoonists, the Rough Rider with the teeth, pince-nez, and unquestionable zest appeared to be the real candidate. He derided the specter of materialism as a shadowy ghost, insisted that expansion in no way affects our institutions or our traditional policies. It said the question was not whether we shall expand, for we have already expanded, but whether we shall contract. Please rate, comment, and subscribe down below. And if you subscribe, please ring that bell notification so that you can know when I upload. And if you're on TikTok, please like and follow my videos. But definitely follow. Because I need those. I need both, but I really need a lot more followers than I did likes. And please pay for something on my eBay and or my card. Okay, bye.